Aloha, shalom. It's Halloween for some people who are celebrating. For other people, it's just another day. Just setting you guys up on my tripod here. So, not only is it Halloween day, it's also a blue moon, full moon, because it's the second full moon of the month. So this is a more rare occurrence. And this is the first time in, 70 something years, I think, that this moon is falling on Halloween, this full moon, blue moon. So that's pretty extra magical. Awesome. So good to see you guys tuning in. Yay! Aloha, everybody. Aloha. Yeah. So good to see you all. So let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Ooh, there's a rainbow on my face. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I'm tuning in from Sedona, Arizona, of course, as always. Beautiful Red Rocks, Vortex lands of Sedona, Arizona. So just drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from so that we can see the web of light that we're creating across the world right now. I love these activations. They've been going on for a few years now, and they've built such a community around them. So awesome. So many people now tune in from all over the world to unite in one message, and I love that. It's so magical. For those of you guys just tuning in for the first time ever, these activations are actually have nothing to do with the moon. You guys are distracting me with all of your cool comments. I'm like, oh my God, UK, Iowa, Mount Shasta, Manchester, UK, Belgium. Oh, it's awesome. So cool. Inner space, right on. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, these activations actually have nothing to do with the moon. The moon is just used to measure time so that we can meet 4 times in a lunar cycle. So they've been happening for years now, and you will know when they happen by looking at the moon. You will always find me doing the activations for the new moon, the first quarter, the final, the full moon, and the final quarter. And so this moon, the full moon, is all about coming to the fullness of what we've been going through all month, seeing the whole picture of the lesson that we've been going through, so that for the next part of the cycle, we can just integrate and also prepare then to move into the next cycle, because it's never ending. And for those of you who were complimenting my necklace here, this is a super chunky, smoky quartz. So beautiful. This one is for sale, actually, and so is another one that looks just like it. That's a crystal quartz, not smoky. It's like a twin point. And a couple of other pieces are actually for sale. I'm selling for a friend, blessing them, wearing them to the vortexes of Sedona. So if you're interested, just give me a shout. I noticed that some of you were commenting on that, so I wanted to say. All right, so I'm going to begin shuffling the cards. And like I said, this activation, the full moon, it's always about the whole picture. Finally coming into full clarity of what really has been going on this cycle. And as I was going about my morning, I got really clear guidance as to what was going to be asked today. And usually I tend to ask the same questions. I tend to get the same guidance to always ask, what is the current challenge and what is the ally? But today, some very specific guidance was coming in as to what to ask. And that was, what is something we should be doing right now? What is something that we need to do right now? We're being called to an action. I don't know what it is, and we're going to find out. Okay, so that's going to be the first question. And then why? What is it for? This was the second question that I saw. What is it for? Okay, then I saw a third question. And typically we do 2. Sometimes we do 3. Sometimes we do more. There are no hard rules, but usually it's just 2. But today there were a very clear 3. The third one was, what is our support system? And this is going to apply to all of us, and it's going to tell us how supportive or unsupportive our environment is and how we can navigate that. Okay, so I'm just shuffling, and as I'm doing that, before I pull the cards, I just want you to go ahead and let go of whatever it is you're holding on to. Feelings, thoughts that have been stuck with you all morning. all day, all week, all month. Whatever you're carrying with you, just set it down right now and know that in this moment, you are being given the grace to do that because you are here on a mission. You're here to receive a higher message, and God, Great Spirit, Source, Hashem, Allah, whatever you want to call this source, the One, wants to help you to help the One. This is the divine, intelligent design of our world, of our universe. So know that you are granted permission in this moment, more than ever, to set whatever needs to be set aside. Because you're doing higher work, and we're all here together supporting each other in this mission. And you know, inclusiveness is a virtue for a reason. Because when more beings, more lights come together on the same mission, it reflects this law of the conservation of energy, where we come together and with less effort, we can do more. And this is why inclusiveness is a virtue, because of the law of conservation of energy, basically. And so in coming here together, we are more supported than ever to set aside our stuff and open up to receive this message that has the potential to open us up to a great opportunity for healing the One. If you didn't yet, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from. Okay, and then go ahead and set it all aside. Tune into your heart, the infinitely expansive space of the heart where you and I are one, where there are no limits, where there's only openness. We don't even need to create a space. This eternal and infinitely expansive One already exists within. So let's tune in together there, here, now. And then go ahead and connect to the deck however you know how. Use your imagination. Remember, the first principle of Hermetics is the law of mentality. Everything begins and ends here. So however you know how, go ahead and connect. It could just be like a feeling that you experience. You can imagine yourself teleporting here. You can see a thread of light going from your inner eye or your heart to the deck, whatever you want to do. Just some of you might just be more claircognizant and just want to know that you're here and know that it is so because you are claiming it to be so. Beginning with the first question, what is the action we're being called to take right now? Something that will be so clear when we see it, because it'll be something that's been foreshadowed all month. It's now coming into the fullness of the light as reflected by the moon. The second card will be, what is it for? Why? Why do we have to do this right now? And that third one, what is our support system like? What are we dealing with as far as other, who is really just a reflection of self, right? You can kind of think 7th house, Libra, relationship, but is always a reflection of self, just like Aries is right across the wheel, opposite of Libra. That's the self. Libra is reflection of the self. So that's kind of what we're digging into. What does that look like? What is the energy around us like? Is it supportive, not supportive? What? How do we respond to it? So good to see you guys. India, Slovakia, Illinois, what's up? Okay, so starting with the first card, we're being called to take action right now. What is it? Very clear imagery here. This is the Four of Pentacles. And while people like to say that Pentacles is the earth suit, it's actually not. It's air. And the value of those coins is determined by what's going on within before it's manifested without. And as I explain this card, you're going to be like, okay, that's very clear in the imagery here. Four of Pentacles is all about asking ourselves, what is it that we're holding on too tightly to? And what are we not holding on to tightly enough? It's all about being in this world, but knowing we're not of it. Classic, right? It's about seeing how we must remain healthily detached from the material details of our lives while being fully devoted to actualizing our higher values and beliefs and crystallizing them into our material reality. So kind of flipping the direction of living from the outside in to living from the inside out. Not so much focusing on the outside, but going back to what is within and building from there. Then looking around us and saying, okay, how have I manifested all of this around me? What is it a reflection of? Okay, the things that I'm paying the most attention to, the things that I'm giving the most energy to, the things that I'm most consumed by in thought and emotion. What is that telling me about my inner world? What is that telling me about my inner world? For example, relationships, they are a part of this material world, right? People, at least the human part, right? The body part. How are we interacting with others? Who are we paying the most attention to? Who are we not paying enough attention to? Are we prioritizing our relationships correctly? In the way in which we socialize, communicate, relate? In work, are we prioritizing correctly? Are we doing our best in work? Are we directing our energy into the proper channels at work and in all areas of life? That's really what this card is about. What material things are we using the most? Are we utilizing the most? Machines, objects, maybe books that we're reading, could be anything on the material plane. What are we giving our energy to? And what is that feeding in the unseen realms? Because sometimes we get so caught up and we forget. We forget that we need to live from the inside out. And we accidentally start living from the outside in. Even if we knew this already and you're like, I already know this. Everybody forgets sometimes. And that's the whole point of being human. And that's actually the beauty of being human. That's why we're here in this world of separation. Separation has a divine purpose. Otherwise it wouldn't be. We forget, we fall, so that we can return and remember again and again and again and again and again. And this is the idea of the divine romance. We fall so that we can rise again. In fact, the rise is promised in the fall. This is universal law. What goes up must come down, and what goes down must come up. This is the whole concept of death and rebirth. Rise is written in the fall. And so it's okay to forget. It's beautiful. It's a part of the process so that we can use our free will to choose to return to goodness again and again. And by that choosing, build up our power, that self-empowerment. Build confidence and trust and faith. Not by some, outside force doing it for us, but by our own will, by falling and getting back up again and again and again and again. So going back to this card being the current action we need to take, there is something shaking us to awaken right now, saying, whatever that thing is that you've been needing to let go of, you better do it now. Stop wasting your time. And if you've been too much in this cognitive dissonance, not willing to look at what needs to be removed, then maybe don't start with any one thing. Maybe just go within, start from that center point and ask yourself, what are my values? What are my beliefs? And from there, how can I create a reality, or how can I reposition things in my reality, in my material world, to help support this ritual of nourishing and nurturing my beliefs, my values, and my morals. So first go within, right? This is the action we're being called to take right now. We first must go within and start there and ask, what do I truly value? And then hopefully the answer to that, what we truly value, will reflect something of sustainable nature. Like our higher values will be in things that are sustainable beyond this life, that are hopefully going to carry on into the next generations. Otherwise, what are we really feeding? What are we really using our energy for? On a tower that's just going to fall? That's foolish. So first we have to start within and really get our values, our belief systems on point, properly prioritized. What do we really value? Let's start with the simple things, guys. Clean air, clean water, a healthy and happy environment, not just for ourselves, but for others. for our children, for our children's children, and for their children, for the next 7 generations. And then when we prioritize correctly inside, like this, and we kind of like do a little feng shui work in the inner realm, right? Then we can come back out, and then we can be honest with ourselves and say, you know what? This relationship is not serving that. It's not serving what I just discovered to be my true goal, my true aim, my true values. It's not serving that. And I got to be honest with myself now. Now that I've really affirmed what is important, I know what I need to do. Oh, this job, it's not going to help my long-term goals, my real spiritual goals. It's not going to help that. So first you have to establish what is really important to you. And like I said, hopefully that is aligned with the well-being of the future generations. Because then we're really working for something. Then we're really making the most of our existence here. Because if we do things that are, if we set our goals only to these materialistic goals, then all of that stuff dies with us when the body dies. And then all of our work is for nothing. What's that even for? We're really here ultimately to multiply the light, because light is eternal. And how do we do that? It's so simple. We tend to complicate it as humans. We tend to complicate it. But we're really here to multiply the light. This is a Kabbalistic concept. How we do that is walk the virtuous path. You ever hear of God referred to as the all-virtuous light of compassion, or the ring of light, circle of life? This all-virtuous light of compassion, what happens is, and the Kabbalists explain it this way, when the original light came through the prism, it became the rainbow, right? And that created our world. So that original white light or ring of light can be seen as this all-virtuous light of compassion. And when it came through and split up, it split up into the different virtues that make up compassion. So when we begin to embody the different virtues and form a relationship with each of those frequencies, they crystallize within our hearts, within our being, within our cells, in a very real way. This is not some woo-woo stuff, guys. This is really real. This is actual metaphysics. This is science. Okay, so you transform. Light body. No, but for real. Okay? And so all of these virtuous frequencies begin to form a bond within you, within your cells, within your mind, within your heart. And when they do that and they start to work together, they form a beautiful synergy, a harmonious synergy that ultimately reflects the original ring of light, the all-virtuous light. And that's it. And that's why we're here. And that's why children get it better than adults do a lot of the time. You hear that? But I'm not trying to put kids on a pedestal either. We are all children of Source, God, Allah, Hashem, all of us. And so we all have the ability to do this. And there are no excuses. That's why we're here. It's easy, and we overcomplicate it. And it's funny because we say, oh, how do we be that virtuous light in such a crazy world as this, where there's so much darkness and so much suffering? Well, that's why we're here, to transmute that. The more suffering and the more pain, the more potential. But it calls upon our bravery and our courage. I read a quote once that I really loved, and it was something like, courage is not a virtue, but the thing we embody when we are called to be in any of the virtues. It takes courage to be in any of those virtues in our hardest times, at our hardest points. So we can begin to be excited about the opposite energy that we see in our world, right? This is a hotbed of vice. So much danger and suffering and pain, victimization. Or we can see opportunities for transmutation and alchemy. That's really why we're here. Because all the pain and suffering is temporary anyway. That stuff is not eternal. But light is. Light cannot be destroyed. And that's why we're here, to multiply the light. And so anytime you feel the opposite of any of the virtues, right? The vices, anytime you feel impatient, that's when it's time to be patient. Not when it's easy. When it's extra hard, that's when the magic happens. That's when you, as a human, have this beautiful opportunity to call in your conscious awareness and shift your frequency This is why humans have the greatest potential for evolution and not animals. Our animal friends serve us. Their instincts guide the way, sure, but we are human for a beautiful reason. I'm a humanitarian. I believe in humanity. And it's just up to us. We have free will. It's up to us to acknowledge that and to make a change. But I'm a humanitarian. I believe in us. And I know we have this gift. And I've been experiencing it firsthand for years. I know what our potential is. And it's infinite. So again, when you feel impatient, that's when it's time to call in your conscious awareness and switch to patience. When you want to be dishonest and you want to lie, no matter how much your ego says, you gotta lie. You have to. You're going to hurt this person. You're going to hurt that person if you don't lie. You'll lose this thing or you'll lose that thing. You'll lose this relationship. You'll lose this job. You'll lose this money. Your ego will give you a million reasons to justify the vice, the lie, the dishonesty, the jealousy, whatever it is. And the more reasons it has, the more you're being tested to go, no, despite the adversity and despite the contradiction, now's my time to shine that true light from within and know that, of course, I will be protected. Of course, I will be guided. Of course, I will be rewarded. We as one will be rewarded if I, despite all the contradiction of my ego, choose the right path. Don't be fooled. It's not when it's easy that we get the trophy. That's not when the transmutation happens. The greatest potential for that trophy, that chalice, the overflowing cup of the heart, is in the moments when it's hardest. So when you want to be jealous of someone, it's like, you got to remember in that moment, you got to catch yourself, you got to observe your thoughts, and you have to go, whoa, hold on, reel it in. Jealous. Everything is one. So if I'm viewing this reality that I'm jealous of, why don't I instead look at it as inspiration, a manifestation of something that I too can achieve? And look at it that way, begin to shift our thoughts, because it's actually psychotic the way we've been going about thinking of how I should be jealous of this, jealous of that. I should want this, I should want that. Well, you already have it, because that person who has the thing that you want, they're one with you. And so you can also see it from this angle, wasting your time on coveting what someone else has, wanting what someone else has. It's literally a waste of your energy. Because instead of cultivating a frequency of feeling as though you already have it, which is the way to attract it, you're instead wasting all of your energy on being jealous, a very low frequency, actually, quite the opposite. It's going to repel you from the thing that you want. It's going to bring your frequency down and make you less magnetic to be able to have that potential to attract what you want. And that's the irony. Everything around us is set up in this sort of funny, paradoxical way so that we can, as humans with this beautiful ability to evolve, so that we can call in our conscious awareness and make a change. Observe ourselves, tap into that observer mindset and make a change. It's set up as a test, for real. It really is. But once you get it, once you really lock in your understanding of these metaphysical laws, right? By the way, there's an awesome book by Emmett Fox called The 10 Commandments, and it's his metaphysical explanation of the 10 Commandments and how to apply them to your life. Amazing. Again, it's Emmett Fox, 10 Commandments. Once you lock in that understanding, you become a master of contradiction, right? This is like a major aspect of the age of Aquarius. You move through your reality, penetrating through to the truth of all, behind all things. You see the truth within the falsity, right? And because we're using tarot right now, I know so many people are scared of the tarot, but really it's just a deck full of archetypal lessons. It's like a mini pictorial Torah. It's like a summary of all of the archetypal lessons within the Torah. This is like a Kabbalistic tool, okay? When you use it correctly, it's not divination. It's tapping into source wisdom, light. Okay, so speaking of the tarot, if you look at card 18, the moon, that is all about deception, darkness, right? But if we can move through that, through 18, we get to 19, the sun, the light, right? It's a sequential story. And so 18, the moon card, deception, if we reduce it to a single digit, 1 and 8 makes 9, the hermit, aka the sage. And so if the sage is unlocked, then the moon can be unlocked. If that inner wisdom is cultivated, if we access that initiation of the sage or the hermit, where we know who we are, we know why we're here, we know what our path is, we know we're here to serve the collective, to serve the light, to multiply the light, then we can move through the darkness of the night, the twilight, the deception with grace and with ease. We can navigate the occult world because we don't need these eyes to see. We have this eye awakened. And so we see through the illusion to the truth. And that's really why we're here. Okay. I was just going on and on for that. Let's get back to this reading now. Okay, so we're being called to take action, to really, right now, remodel our lives to serve us in a way that's going to create a ritual where we can effortlessly feed those sources that are worth feeding. Setting up our material reality in a way that's going to support us to naturally flow in a way that serves the highest good of not only self, but the one and all the future generations to come, right? Like making altars, making sure the feng shui of your home flows freely. And you don't need, feel free to do research, but you can just tap into your own inner wisdom, your feeling. And hey, if there's this huge box in the way between me and my door, that's probably bad feng shui. It's not some woo-woo concept. It's just simply like creating a flow space in your house, okay? When you walk from one space to another, there's like an energetic track or trail. And especially on a track that you walk back and forth every day in your house, for example, from the place you sit the most or your bed to the bathroom, for example, there's an energetic trail. Energy doesn't just disappear, okay? If you could see what it looks like in the energetic realm, it would look like this stream of light. And so when you put things in the way, it creates obstacles. And it's so funny, it's so simple, but it's true. When you do that, when you create those obstacles in your home, it reflects in your life. You know, when you clean your room, you're like, oh my God, I feel like I just cleaned my brain. That's why. Because your home is where the heart is. They say that for a reason, right? Just like looking at the Hebrew Aleph Bet. Aleph Bet is the A and B of the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph is the one, the first one, the light, the master, right? And B, the Bet, is the house for that. Well, any container then becomes a dwelling space for the light to reside. Just like our home is a space for light to be. And just like our body is a space for our light to be in, right? So our body is the first thing we should look at with this call to action. How are we taking care of our body, giving it enough attention and love and water and fresh air so that we maintain this pattern for it to thrive, right? And interesting, this card is 4. If you look to the major arcanum 4 in the trump cards, the card that this one is truly connected to in a big way, number 4 is the Emperor, aka the Sovereign. The 4 is the form. It's all about how are we providing the form, the structure for life to thrive. So how are we first doing that with our bodies? How are we doing that with our minds? How are we doing that with our homes where we spend the most time? How are we doing that with our relationships? How are we maintaining the form, the structure, so that we can continue to grow in a way that is effortless, in a way that is graceful, in a way that serves not only self, but self, the one self of which we're all a part. So remember that right now as we're being called to do this, to look at what we're holding on too tightly to and what we're not holding on too tightly enough. While we're doing that, remember that Emperor, that Sovereign. Why is he here? He's within all of us. He's here to maintain that structure, that form, so that life can continue to do its thing in the most beautiful way. And remember, it's not about attachment. We have to be healthily detached, but we should also be dedicated and fully present. We're here not to transcend the body, maybe in mind when we need to climb the mountain, ascend to get the codes and bring it back in, sure. But that's not why we're here. We're here to bring the spirit into the body, to bring heaven and earth together fully, to be so fully in our bodies. And so it's not about being attached. It's about actually being detached, knowing that we're in this world but not of it. But really, whatever we're dedicating ourselves to, whatever we are committing ourselves to right now, making sure we're wholeheartedly doing it. And the only way we can really be doing that is if we're confident in our decisions. If we're confident in our thoughts, if we're confident in our words, if we're confident in our actions. Because if there's inner conflict, if some part of us inside feels doubt about our choice of thought, word, or action, that's going to create a split. It's going to create a challenge, a problem. The conflict within will reflect as conflict without. So we need to be so fully confident in our decisions of how we're setting up our reality and then how we are maintaining that ritual. This is so important to walk with confidence. And the only way to do that is to be so sure with every move you make, every step you take. And the best way to do this is to base our thoughts, words, and actions on a higher cause so that we can feel confident about going about that path. Okay, moving on to the next card. What is it all for? What is this for? Why are we doing this? Why are we reconfiguring our reality to obviously step up, right? But what is, let's get more specific. Woo! I literally saw this card as I was talking a minute ago and loving the symmetry. Check it out. It's a 6. See the beauty here of the numbers, the Roman numerals. Awesome. I was seeing this a minute ago, and maybe you'll recognize why as I explain it. 6 of Wands. Wands is fire, it's spirit, and this is the card of victory. And if you look in the back, there's this guy over here, and he doesn't look so happy about this guy's victory. And even the horse is kind of looking like he's questioning him, right? But you have to see that if there's more than one character on the cards, they're all aspects of the same one. So they're different aspects of the one self. That's only ever what it is. There's only one here. And so this card is explaining what victory looks like, right? It's like, are you victorious in all realms or only in the material realm? Because if you're victorious only in the material realm, then you'll be kicked off that horse real soon. Your karma, that's represented by this guy here, it's going to come back to bite you. It's going to kick you off that horse. So, I love your comments, guys. So, this is the thing. It's like, why are we doing this? Because we're tired of getting kicked off that horse. We want sustainable success. We want sustainable victory. No more bullshit. We're ready to stop messing around. We're ready to move forward in a way that's going to bring sustainable success. This is why I kept mentioning, you guys, the next 7 generations, the next 7 generations, the next 7 generations. This is not just about setting a foundation of, setting up your reality in a way that reflects your values for this life, but for the lives to come, for your children and your children's children and their children and their children and their children. Then we're really talking. Then we're really making something of this existence. We're really living in our purpose. And so you can see why this card was being foreshadowed and everything we already spoke about. We're doing this. We're letting go of the things we need to let go of. And we're dedicating ourselves to the things we truly need to dedicate ourselves to for the next 7 generations, for a sustainable future, for a sustainably successful future. Not just for ourselves. This body is temporary, but for the one, for the world, for the children to come. So I don't think I really need to say more about that because I talked a whole lot for the first card. So let's move on to the third card. And this card is all about our support system, who is around us, and you'd be surprised how applicable this will be to everybody. And yes, somebody's commenting, are you Native American? 7 generations is a Native thing as well. I have many roots tied to Native American culture. I actually did a genealogy test and it came up as, yes, I do have Native American blood. And my sister and I, as well as some other close people, have seen past lives having to do with Native Americans, drowning. There's so much I could say about that. There's a whole other video, but I am very proud of that ancestor that we ultimately all share, that brought forth that wisdom of the Native people about the next 7 generations. I mean, that's key. We all need to understand this. So yes, I'll say more about that in the future. Now, this card, again, you'd be surprised how it's going to relate to all of us. It's going to give us a little hint as to how we're being supported or not supported by our environment. Ooh, another Wands. Okay, 9 of Wands. 9s are about endings, whereas 10s are endings and new beginnings. 9s are just endings. Okay, this guy looks super stressed out and beat up, right? He may have just exposed himself by taking that wand from behind him, leaving him vulnerable. Or does he maybe have everything he needs within that one wand? Because wands are fire, spirit. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. It's all one. So how does this Nine of Wands then pertain to how we're being supported or not supported by our environment? Our environment, and this is how I see it, tell me if this resonates with you, feel free to drop a comment. Our environment has been challenging us. It's been challenging. Friends, family, all relationships have been challenging us. And it's all so that we can get to this higher level of being, so that we can get to this next level of who we really are. If they didn't challenge us, why would we be here? You know, this is, again, a part of the human experience. So hang in there. Things are going to get a little bit easier soon. Relationships have been very challenging, but they're reaching a turning point. They're reaching a turning point. It's not going to be as challenging soon. Things are going to be a little bit easier with relationships and with our environment. You may be also feeling this with where you live. I know I feel this for a lot of people. I live in Sedona and it's my home. And I've been here for a long time now. I was born and raised in New York, but I left there a decade ago, and I'm home. And I tried leaving this place a few times. Man, she sucked me back in, and I know now that I'm home. But I know a lot of people don't feel that way. I know a lot of people feel very challenged by where they're living, and they want to leave, or they feel stuck, etc. So I think that this is coming up for the collective right now as far as environment, setting, where we're living. It can feel very challenging. Even if you know you're home, right? Even if you're living in a place where you're like, no, this is it. It can still be very challenging, no matter how much you love it. And on the other side of things, if you're really embracing the challenge, and if you've become accustomed to behaving that way, to really embracing the challenge, then you might just be on fire with passion for how your environment has been supporting you and changing, right? So it's all about our perspective. So for some people, for all of us, our environment and all of our relationships in our surrounding environment are calling us to this next level of who we are. That could either be challenging in a way that burns, right? Like that fire that burns, or it could be a fire that transforms. It depends on how we're perceiving it and how much we're opening to it rather than resisting it and closing up to it. Because when we close and resist, there's more friction, more heat, and it can burn you, right? But when we open, it's kind of a different fire. It's like a purifying fire, like the violet flame, whatever you want to call it, you know. So that's how I see it. That's how I see this Nine of Wands is telling us that we are being challenged by our environment. We're being challenged by our relationships. And it is all calling us to just do what we're meant to do in each moment anyway. If you didn't see my reading on COVID as an entity, you should check that out, by the way, you guys. It was all about what I'm about to tell you. The answer is always the same. What do we do? How do we perceive the situation? It's always the same. We should be perceiving it as a test to be our best selves, to level up, to perform alchemy like the magicians we came here to be. And not just for ourselves, but for the one. Because we're not just here as magicians to do card tricks. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're real magicians, real alchemists with a purpose. The reason we came here with this ability to perform such magic, such real elemental magic, is because we have a higher purpose to serve the one, to serve nature, to serve the collective. That's really why we're here. And so if you're feeling caught up in the drama of your surroundings, of the place that you live, of the relationships that you're in, your job, whatever aspects are challenging for you right now in your environment, be careful not to be so consumed by them in a way that puts you in this downward spiral where it has you clinging to the wrong things, the wrong feelings, the wrong thoughts of spite, of resentment, of pain, of suffering, victimization. See how they're connected? No. Don't be fooled. Instead, remember why we're really here, what our mission is. Sustainable victory for future generations, not just for ourselves. And know that every challenge right now in your environment and in your relationships, it's not trying to tear you down. Life is not out to get you. In fact, the universe is ever conspiring in your favor. It just might not look that way sometimes. So we're being called to see through the challenges within our relationships. Don't condemn people for hating us or for being angry with us or for denying our intuition, right? Like, I think this is a big one for the collective. We often feel like, oh, this person is not supporting my intuition and my decisions, my. And it's like, okay, well, instead of just being mad at them, because that's just going to contribute to a lower frequency, that's not going to help you get anywhere. Just look at it and ask, how can I extract any truth from this, from my own perspective? Do my best and then move on. right? The Hierophant can help you with this. This is an archetype that can help you. If you have my book, look at the chapter on Arcanum 5. It will teach you how to do this, how to tune into your heart's compass, to see past that pain and into the truth that lies within it. This is the way of the heart's compass, the direction of the heart's compass. So, if somebody is not being supportive, see it as an opportunity to support yourself more. Or to take responsibility and put yourself in an environment that is more supportive. Perhaps you can see it from a lens where it's not like, this person is out to get me, because that's not going to get you anywhere, but to instead say, oh, I see what's happening energetically behind this person, the energy behind their face, because really there's no separation. They're an aspect of me telling me something about me. And so I'm instead going to see this person's lack of support as an energy pushing me towards somewhere that's going to be more supportive. And the proper way to navigate this is not to go, oh, I see, fine, F you, continue not supporting me, I'm going to go this way instead. No, then you're not quite getting it, because that's not acting from that place of compassion, right? If you really truly are seeing from that higher perspective, which only from there can we truly, from that heart perspective, only from that higher perspective can we see, okay, this energy is actually redirecting me to somewhere more supportive. And when we're in that space, truly, we don't respond like that with anger and with hate, with disgust. If we're really, truly viewing from that higher perspective, which is allowing us to redirect our energies, we should be able to respond. And this will be a sign that you're there. We should be able to respond to that person who's not supporting us with true love and compassion, true understanding. To be able to even say thank you to them. Maybe not outwardly, because they won't even receive that. Maybe it'll look a little crazy. Maybe outwardly, if they're in that space to be able to receive that. But at least inwardly, you should be able to thank them genuinely for the revelation they're allowing you to see. That's a sign that you're really seeing from that higher perspective, and that you really have gratitude for the divine plan unfolding, because you know it's always the divine plan unfolding, and you know that nothing is outside of divine order. And so you especially know that when you're about to judge a situation as unsupportive or as a horrible situation, a painful situation, that's when you can be like, oh no, I almost tricked myself there. It's meant to just call in my awareness to go, oh, I see, nothing's truly unsupportive. It might look that way on the outside. I might judge it that way from my ego's perspective. But when I look a little bit more closely, I can see that the thing that I immediately was jumping to being judging as unsupportive is actually directly supporting me in a super high way. In fact, those things that are the most painful and that seem the most unsupportive of what we want are giving us a quantum leap in the direction of what we do want. And so if only we can see that in that moment, then we can take that quantum leap. If we can really see that in that moment, not later. Yeah, hindsight is 20/20, right? But man, when you could see it in that moment, it's beyond. It transcends the vision we have here on this earth. It takes you to a higher place. So again, right now, our relationships may not seem very supportive. They may be very challenging. Our environment in general is very challenging. But this is the message they're saying, guys. Stop judging things as unsupportive, because you can sit there all you want and go, it's unsupportive, it's challenging. And you just keep acknowledging that aspect of it, and then there you become stuck until you inevitably get it. So this archetype, 9 of Wands, thank you, is telling us to look at whatever we've been so challenged by lately in our relationships, in our environment, and go, how is this sneakily actually supporting me to moving in a direction that I need to move in, to redirecting my energies more appropriately for the plan I want to see unfold, or for the plan I want to see unfold. Okay, that was a lot, so I'm just going to summarize, and then I'll get out of here, you guys. Happy blue moon. First card, we're being called to reconfigure our reality, our material reality, in a way that reflects that inner feng shui, to really reprioritize, or at least reaffirm, make sure that our priorities in the correct order, so that we can be serving future generations. Make sure that our goals are sustainable, not only in this lifetime, but beyond this life, right? And then from there, making sure that we create a material reality that effortlessly allows us to move through it, feeding our energy into those things that are going to feed those goals that are unseen. Okay, so setting up our material reality in a way that's going to easily support us in those long-term goals of multiplying the light. Right? And the best way you could do that, by the way, is aligning yourself with nature and with universal law. So how can you, like with the colors around you, for example, right? Because everything is frequency, and a simple way to tap into that is color, scent, right? Like look to the senses, what you see, what you're smelling, what you're touching. Make sure that your senses are immersed in your reality in a way that's creating a frequency that's going to help you attract your goals, which, like we said, are hopefully aligned with the success of the next 7 generations and the sustainability of the next 7 generations. So align yourself with nature, because that's what's sustainable. Align your material reality with universal law, because that is what is timeless and truly sustainable. So those are just some tips and ways that you can go about this. Take this action that we're being called to take, okay? What it's all for. True success, sustainable success. It's time to stop cutting corners and look way ahead into the future of the next generations to come and base our actions right now on that success, not just our own selfishness. Okay? And then the final card was the 9 of Wands. Is our environment supporting us right now, or is it not? Hello, it's always supporting us. That's what the 9 of Wands had to say today. It's always supporting us. You just have to look deeper than what you're claiming is unsupportive to see that the divine plan is always unfolding, that nothing is outside of divine order, and that even the things that are the most uncomfortable and the most unsupportive as we judge them are actually supporting us to move in the direction of our highest good always, because that's the intelligent divine design of the universe, baby. Okay? So just trust, relax, surrender, know that nothing's outside of divine order. Don't stress yourself out over this reconfiguring your reality. Know that all's in divine order. So you're going to do that. You're going to get to that in the perfect time and in the perfect way. Just trust, relax, have fun, and dedicate yourself to the virtuous path, because we are here to multiply the light. There's no other reason. There's no greater reason for being here. This is our purpose. All of us share this purpose, and we all just have a unique way of going about it, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty. But we all share this underlying purpose of being here to multiply the light. Because all other goals are not sustainable. Anything else we can aim for is not as sustainable as the multiplication of the light. This is a Kabbalistic concept that is easy to grasp for all of us, right? It's like we're in this circle. We're all in this circle of life together, and we're here to multiply the light in that circle, which will continue to circulate in this eternal reality. Right? But anything that we create that is not of that highest frequency, that is not multiplying the light, right? Like the darkness, or what is known in the tarot as the devil, aka the black magician, anything we do on that path, it doesn't matter, it fades away. It can't go with us beyond this body, beyond this lifetime, because when we transcend, when we die, nothing but the light goes on. But the light goes on. So all the work you do in spirit, and all the work you do on the virtuous path, and all the work you do cultivating the light of the virtues, which ultimately forms the synergistic light, which reflects the all virtuous light of compassion, the light of God, all the work that you do with that can never be taken from you. It stays with you. It doesn't matter how many steps you take, how far you travel. It doesn't matter. It's not relative to time and space. It's timeless light. And it goes with you forever, right? That's a true goal for the future generations. That's really what it's all for here. To recognize that we're here to multiply the light, because the work that's done in that pursuit is never in vain. And it serves the one forever. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Before I sign off, I just wanted to tell you, first of all, thank you for joining me in this activation portal today. If you have any friends or family who could benefit from this message, please go ahead and send it to them. Please share it in your favorite groups, meditation groups, light worker groups, Starseed, Galactic Federation of Light, Indigo Children, yoga, anywhere that you think this message would be appreciated. Go ahead and send it. Send it on, okay? Somebody you know is struggling and needs to hear this. Somebody who wants to have some clarity right now, get some clarity on this full moon, okay? Maybe people who have too much on their minds, too much going on, and they need that focus. This is what the tarot does. It puts all the cards out on the table, and it shows you what is important. So you can kind of get rid of all the extraneous thoughts that are floating around in your mind, get straight to the point, and also position them in a way that it makes sense, sort of like a mind map, right? So if you know of anybody who could benefit from this, please go ahead and send it to them. Also, I'm still sending out books. I did get a huge order of books, so I'm happily stocked. If you're in Sedona, they're all over town in all my favorite crystal shops now, so you can find them in a bunch of places in town. Just reach out to me if you want to know where, if you're local. They're also on Amazon. It's called The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. I know that's a mouthful. If you go on Amazon and you just type in The Royal Path Activating, my book will come up. Also, if you order directly from me, I make these awesome bookmarks that I happen to have right here because this is my art table that I'm working on right now. So I make these bookmarks out of tarot cards that I just collect that I don't actually use. This is the Thoth deck. So I include those in my book when you order it directly from me. And I love that. And I sign it in my Hebrew name too. And that's super fun because it's like a seal. I love that. Also, you guys, we're up to card 19 in our weekly Zoom class right now. And the Zoom class is on the occult symbolism of the tarot. If you want to know more about this weekly class, please go check my wall or go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rebecca Magic. Please hit subscribe so you get notified when I upload new videos, which isn't very often, but you don't want to miss out. And I don't want you to miss out. I want you in all the portals. So go to my YouTube channel and you'll see a recent video about my weekly class. We, again, are up to card 19. So we already have cards 0 through 18, plus a couple of bonus classes stored in a private folder. You are welcome to request classes in a way that's you take them one by one. You can request the first class and go from there. Some people like to buy a few at a time or 5 at a time. Some people like to buy the whole course up front. Totally up to you. Each class is about 60 to 90 minutes, packed with material. So awesome. I'm loving the feedback I'm getting. Also, we have a private group called Royal Path on Facebook, and that's where all the students link up to share in between classes, share insights that are valuable to the hive mind. And even if you don't have my book, or you're not taking my class, we're all walking this one path, this one royal path together. So please feel free to join the group, private group, Royal Path. I also have another group called Shabbat Crew, and it's Shabbat right now. And it's a mission of mine to show people how to perform the Shabbat ritual, and how it's really not just for Jewish people, but it's for all people who want to partake in this ritual of uniting the many back into the one. So if you want to know more about this, or you want to also receive the mystical explanations of each of the Bible and Torah stories every week, that's what I provide there. I share all of my favorite links and sources in Shabbat Crew, my group on Facebook, every Shabbat, so that you can kind of get in tune with this sacred, timeless technology of the Torah, or Hebrew Bible. And then we also started doing virtual hangouts on Shabbat. So every Friday night, 6:15, at least AZ time, so wherever you are, you'll have to convert that. Every Friday night, I provide a Zoom link in the Shabbat Crew group. It's totally free. You just click on the link. You have to download Zoom, click on the link, join us, and we just hang out. And there's usually about 10 people or so, and a small group, and we just talk about the current Parsha, or Torah portion, story, Bible story. And we go into the Kabbalistic insight behind it, and the lessons, and how it applies to us. And we just share and hang out, and it's cool because we have this sort of elevated conversation that a lot of people don't get to have because they're alone out there in the world and don't have that community. So if you want to join us, please do. We welcome you with open arms and open hearts and open minds. Very important. Then I'll be sharing the story for Shabbat a few days early from now on, so that y'all can check what the story is for the week and have some articles to reference, so that you can form your own opinions and cultivate your own insights to be able to share with the group when we hang out. Woo! So a lot going on, you guys. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about my book, my class, the private groups, the Shabbat hangout. And if not, I will see you next week for the final quarter activation, where we will get to see a little bit about how we've done this or not done this and what the consequences are. All right, you guys, Shabbat Shalom. Have a happy, safe Halloween for anybody doing anything on this day. I love you. Peace.